The debate over using taxpayer money to pay for private school tuition continues today.
What we could expect from today's Senate meeting, as they'll soon pick up their discussions again.
Governor Abbott offering more resources to help arrest undocumented migrants with active warrants. We'll have the latest on these immigrations and customs operations across the country and, of course, right here in Central Texas.
This isn't an image from a scary movie. This is what it looks like outside right now. We have more coming up on how long it's going to last and when the more severe weather could roll in your first warning weather.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
Thanks for joining us. We do want to take you to a live feed from the Texas Capitol, where senators are gathered in the chamber there on the floor. They are taking care of some normal business, but we are waiting because as soon as they adjourn this business here on the floor, we expect a group of them to head to a committee room and take up some items related to education. That, of course, includes the long-standing fight over whether to pay for private school in Texas with taxpayer funds.
Yeah, today senators will hear testimony about a new plan to once again allow families to potentially use taxpayer money to pay for their children's private school tuition. KXAN's Barrett Tryon has been tracking all of this for us today and has a look at today's hearing. Barrett, we are still waiting for them to meet today.
Yeah, they're supposed to start at 11. They're running a little behind per usual, though. It's known as the Education Savings Account Bill, or ESA. Republican State Senator Brandon Creighton wants an ESA available to every student in the state who wants one. Now, that account would provide families with a $10,000 a year per student to fund tuition at an accredited private school. It would offer $11,500 for students with disabilities and at least $2 grand per year for students who are homeschooled. Now, ESAs are very simply put just a voucher type of program that allow families to get money from a state-funded account to pay for private school tuition. Students who are also already in private school, they can also participate. And as you know, this has really been a top priority for Governor Greg Abbott. But not everybody is for the plan.
I serve over 30 school districts, and they are pretty much all small rural districts. And in those districts, the school is the center of the community. If those communities lose their schools, they lose their communities in many cases.
Now, this bill would actually also have a section that is dedicated to the misuse of funds. And also of note here, it does not require people who participate in this to take those standardized tests that students in public schools do each year. Opponents argue on that creates an unfair playing field. As we mentioned, this meeting a little behind, but we'll have an update coming up on KXAN News at 5. Avery.
Barrett, thank you so much. Education savings accounts are a topic Governor Greg Abbott will likely discuss during the 2025 State of the State address. That's, of course, coming on Sunday. According to the governor's office, we're expecting him to speak on his priorities for this legislative session, but also his goals for the future of Texas. You can watch his speech on KXAN on Sunday. That'll be at 5 o'clock.
First warning weather.
We take a look right now at the visibility within the area. As you can tell, a little worse for the wear right now. We're continuing to see at least pick up just a tad. Bastrop now over a mile visibility, Lockhart at over 2 miles visibility, about a mile visibility as you reach out towards the airport, almost 2 miles in Austin, and then it gets a little worse as you get out towards the hill country. So keep that in mind. If you're going to be driving around, you may run into some fog out there. This is what it looks like out of our Indeed camera at the Domain. Continuing to see just those low-lying clouds, a little bit of drizzle, some mist as well, and a few light showers that have been picking up. Very isolated, very scattered, no widespread activity here, but this dreary day will continue. We'll see that as we get into the overnight hours. In fact, rain chances picking up as we get into around 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Current temperatures right now, 47 degrees in Fredericksburg, 49 in Mason, 50 degrees in Llano, 49 in Austin, and 50 degrees in San Marcos and Rockdale, at about 51 degrees. Your flood threat for late Wednesday, mostly out towards the hill country, and then that moves over as we get out towards Thursday. Of course, tracking as that storm does come in. So coming up, we're going to be discussing all the drizzle and showers coming through, watching for the possibility of severe weather, and the weekend where temperatures are expected to get much, much warmer.
Today, Governor Greg Abbott is directing state law enforcement to help with federal efforts to arrest undocumented migrants in Texas. He says tactical strike teams from the Texas Department of Public Safety will support ongoing immigration operations run by the Trump administration. The governor's office says those strike teams will coordinate with Homeland Security to identify and arrest nearly 5,400 illegal immigrants with active warrants. Those strike teams include DPS troopers, but also special agents and Texas Rangers. Governor Abbott released a statement today saying, quote, Texas is expanding our operations to assist President Donald Trump to protect Americans and enforce the rule of law. After 4 years of failed policies, he says, Texas finally has a partner in President Trump. Together, we will end this crisis and make America safe once again.
Today, some Hispanic community leaders plan to meet with the Austin police chief. The agenda will include those enhanced targeted operations carried out here Sunday by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Now, this is not anything new, according to one city council member who is also an immigration attorney. Still, there is a sense of heightened fear and uncertainty with the Trump administration's promise to carry out mass deportations. The nonprofit Habla ATX is urging people to educate themselves. Meanwhile, Councilmember Chito Vela says ICE arrests in Austin are normal. He represents District 4 in North Austin. And we say that his district has a big immigrant population, and he's been taking calls from worried people.
First and foremost, don't panic. What I would urge folks who are detained to do is immediately contact legal counsel, tell your family to contact legal counsel, and do not sign any kind of voluntary departure or sign some kind of agreement to be removed.
In an earlier version of this story, we incorrectly stated that Chito Vela represented District 2. We regret that error. He does say that he is still trying to assess the scale of ICE operations locally.
Central Texas school districts are preparing for the possibility ICE agents could show up at schools. Hays CISD Superintendent Eric Wright sent a letter to parents. He wrote, if ICE agents come to a campus, the district will follow the law. He adds, if the focus is on undocumented people convicted of crimes, he believes that Hays CISD, quote, would not be significantly affected. Wright also says none of Hays CISD staff members are undocumented. The district does not collect students' immigration information. The White House is touting a very successful immigration enforcement operation across the country.
Those operations are happening as the U.S. narrowly avoided a trade war with Colombia over migrant deportations. Washington correspondent Jesse Tenor reports.
Colombian officials plan on traveling here to D.C. this week to follow up on their deal with the U.S. And President Donald Trump is already promising to send even more migrants their way.
We're tracking down the illegal alien criminals.
Federal agents report more than 1,200 arrests in the Trump administration's crackdown on illegal immigration. And White House border czar Tom Homan told us to expect even more.
We're going to enforce the law, and we're not going to apologize for doing it.
Colombia initially blocked deportation flights from the U.S. over the Trump administration's treatment of migrants.
We were being scolded because we had them in shackles.
President Donald Trump then threatened a travel ban on top Colombian officials and 25% tariffs on Colombian exports, which would double after a week. Colombia ultimately accepted the flights.
The tariffs, I told you, most beautiful word in the dictionary.
Democrats like Vermont Senator Peter Welch argue tariffs are not the way to help with a bipartisan priority.
That could hurt, not help, the effort to get that strong economy.
But House Speaker Mike Johnson called the potential trade war with Colombia a warning to other countries.
You have to participate. You have to take back your illegals who came here.
And the Trump administration is also calling on Congress to pass more funding for border-related issues, including more migrant detention facilities. In Washington, I'm Jesse Tenor.
For some extra insight, some lawyers say the Constitution does offer some protections to undocumented immigrants. According to experts at the Washington-based Clearwater Law Group, undocumented immigrants have the right to due process, legal counsel, equal protection under the law, and rights against unreasonable searches, which is outlined in the U.S. Constitution. That law group says, quote, while undocumented immigrants are not specifically mentioned in the Constitution, they are still protected by its principles. To learn more about migrant protections, our digital reporter, Kelsey Thompson, has details over on our website, KXAN.com. Welcome back, everybody, and thanks again for sticking with us here on KXAN News at Noon. We are almost at 12:14 this afternoon, and we're showing you a live look from up in North Austin, where the domain camera is showing that, yes, that fog and those low-lying clouds are sticking around for this afternoon. We'll get an update about what's in store for the rest of the day coming up in just a few moments. Bird flu is forcing farmers to slaughter millions of chickens a month, and that's pushing egg prices here in the U.S. to more than double their cost in the summer of 2023. It appears there may be no relief in sight, though, given the surge in demand as Easter approaches. The average price per dozen nationwide hit $4.15 in December. Now, that is not quite as high as the record set 2 years ago when eggs went for $4.82. However, the U.S. Agriculture Department predicts that prices are going to soar another 20% this year. One man says he's struggling just to keep them on the shelves at his grocery store in Minneapolis.
I have between 1,000 and 2,000 people a day that come to my store, and they're looking for eggs. So we'll only get between 5 and 10% of whatever we order. I've never seen it like that before.
The bird flu outbreak that began in 2022 is the main reason that egg prices are up so much. Anytime the virus is found on a poultry farm, the entire flock is slaughtered to help limit the virus's spread. And with some massive egg farms housing more than 1 million chickens, just a few infections can cause a supply crunch. That takes months to dispose of all the carcasses, disinfect the barns, and bring in new birds. More than 145 million chickens, turkeys, and other birds have now been slaughtered since the current outbreak began.
We're going to shift over to your first warning weather now. Current temperature is 47 degrees in Fredericksburg, 49 in Mason, 50 in Llano. Austin still currently sitting at about 49 degrees in Rockdale at 51. Satellite and radar showing just nothing but cloud coverage out there. A little bit of mist, drizzle, light showers that have been picking up, but a majority of it just remaining within that foggy condition, and that's mostly from Fredericksburg to Blanco, Dripping Springs, Austin, Bastrop, and down to LaGrange. So we expect for that to start breaking apart a bit more, especially over the next hour, but you still have some of that drizzle and mist within the area. We'll zoom out a bit more for the rest of the state of Texas. We're all getting this Pacific moisture that just continues to flow in and give us the cloud coverage that we're seeing now. Pollen count, keeping those in the low category, including mold and elm. We do have a downward trend with mold at this point. Now, after school, temperatures are expected to be around 57 degrees with cloudy conditions, maybe a little bit of drizzle here and there. And then we get out towards the early evening hours, around 56 degrees with cloudy conditions continuing. In case you're wondering where we could get, or when we could get some of the light showers pushing through, well, that looks like more of an overnight thing. Get to about 11 p.m. We start to see a little bit of activity starting to pick up, and that's off and on pretty much all night long. Tomorrow, as we get to about 10 in the morning, we'll start to see more of an increase, and that continues throughout the day until we get to the overnight hours Wednesday into Thursday, and we could see thunderstorms moving in. Some of it could be severe at this point. We're still in that marginal category, or category 1, which gives us a minimal chance, but it's still there. That continues through Thursday, 6 a.m., getting into Thursday around 11 a.m., and then so forth. As we get out towards about 4 p.m., the sun is back out, especially out towards the hill country. So 54 for tonight, with winds coming in from the east-northeast, very light. And this is what I was talking about. Notice how Wednesday going into Thursday, a majority of the marginal conditions, that low possibility of severe weather, is mostly out towards the hill country and into the metro. And then once we get out towards Thursday, that starts to shift over, especially for early in the morning hours. So this is our GFS model, keeping pretty much everything on track. Wednesday, 10 p.m., there's the slight chance of rain. That picks up as we get into the thunderstorms overnight. And then by the time we get out towards Friday, it's pretty much all done itself. 7-day forecast, 57 for today, 69 for tomorrow. By Thursday, 71 degrees. 70s stay with us as we get out towards Sunday, 77, and then Monday, 76 degrees. Let's go ahead and send it over to Rich Siegel with some interesting information information.
Nice to see a pollen count that doesn't have cedar in it. It's first day in several. All right, last hour we were talking about our climate change minute that we also showed this morning, the fact that children are being affected by a lot of what is going on in our world right now. They're suffering perhaps physically, especially during the summertime when there's a lot of heat. But now we have those disasters, for the example, Hurricane Helene that struck Florida but really ravaged western North Carolina and the wildfires in California. We thought that we would delve into that a little bit more, so I did write a blog. It's online right now at KXAN.com. Click on the weather and traffic tab and go to weather blogs. But it's up to the parents and maybe even some teachers to try and make children understand a little bit more about what's going on in the weather world and things that are affecting our climate. So have those conversations, give them the information that you have to make them understand a little bit better about why things are happening and how things will improve in due time. And so that's something that we urge you to think about as we go forward here in 2025.
More veterans call Texas home than any other state. There are 1.5 million service members living here in Texas. That's according to the latest estimate put out last year by the Department of Veterans Affairs. A state agency is tasked with advocating and providing services to Texas veterans. They're also working to make the transition to civilian life easier.
And we're going to talk much more about that this afternoon with Laura Kerner. She is a Navy veteran and the chair of the Texas Veterans Commission. Laura, welcome and thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, before we delve into more about the kinds of support offered by the Veterans Commission, I want to focus on more of your path first. Talk to us about what you experienced when you returned to civilian life after the Navy and what might have helped you once you did.
Yeah, so I joined the Navy when I was 17 years old from Chicago, and I served mainly on the East Coast of the country. So I was on board 2 different ships in the Navy. I came out of the service in Virginia. So the first thing I had to decide was where did I want to start my transition to life. You have everywhere in the country to move to.
Right.
So one of the things is I determined that I wanted to still continue serving, my country, but as a civilian. So I had to pick my career path. I did a lot of job fairs. We had a transition assistance program for the military. And then I chose to take a job all the way across the country in California. And luckily my transition was really smooth. I was able to find a job fairly soon after I got out through networking and job fairs. But not everyone has that same experience.
Lots of the work you are doing now, of course, mirroring your experience there. You're now serving as the chair of the Texas Veterans Commission. Before we get into a little bit more about what the commission does, talk about how did you translate your military experience into those career ventures before you became the chair here?
Yeah, and that is actually one of the biggest problems I see a lot of military members having, is being able to translate what they did in the military to what they want to do in civilian world. And so there's a lot of services out there to help you. And in my case, I just picked one of my areas of expertise and focused on that. And what I actually found was after about 1.5 years in my first job, I found a different position that I wanted somewhere else. So the first position wasn't my final home. I was able to find a job, get settled, and then realize what I really wanted to do was a little different, and I was able to transition after that. But I do find translating what you do either in the military, on ship, in your unit, is very hard. And we have many services both at the state and in a lot of our partners that help military members translate that into a resume.
And a good message of patience there too. It might take a little time to find the right fit. I love that.
Yeah, and the Veterans Commission, I want to talk about that organization because you all provide an umbrella of services that different veterans can access, all the way from job search to education opportunities, mental health support. So what are some of the ways that you would like people out there to know that the commission helps provide them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I like to say we have a life cycle of services. So when people first transition, they decide, do I want to have a career? Do I want to go back to school? Do I want to start my own business? So we have both an entrepreneur program, an employment program, and a workforce program to help people and find whatever they want to do coming right out of the military. And then as you transition to older life, you may need medical help, you may need claims support and mental health support, and we have programs all along the way to help, no matter what age you are as a veteran, the different services that you need.
So much important work that you all are doing at the commission. We know you will be leading it until 2029, so it's a good chunk of time to accomplish goals. What are the biggest goals for you as you lead the commission over the next few years?
Absolutely. So my job is to advocate for Texas veterans and the benefits that they earned. And so the best that we do that is to ensure our agency continues to provide the best service for our growing number of veterans in Texas. We are the model for most states, so we want to continue that. But biggest part is outreach. I want to make sure we get out and let the veterans know we are here and all the service provided to them across the state. We also support partners, nonprofit agencies, other government agencies. We want to make sure all the veterans know where they can find those services.
Well, that outreach is happening today, so we appreciate you joining us for this, and we hope to have some more conversations with you in the future.
In-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News at Noon.
Welcome back, everybody. New this afternoon, Travis County leaders want to help people clear old arrests from their records. And today they announced some details about an upcoming event that will help them do just that.
The 7th annual Travis County Expunction Expo will happen next month, and volunteer attorneys will provide free legal services to neighbors. The goal of this is to help them get a second chance through jobs or returning back to school. Local leaders say they have a goal of expunging the records of at least 100 people through the Transformative Youth Justice Program, where they'll provide them with resources to help them gain that second chance.
As they announced the expo just earlier today, Travis County Attorney Delia Garza said the government has a responsibility to hold people accountable, but she says once their charges are dismissed, they have an obligation to help get people on the right track.
Government leaders, we also have to show that when someone's charges are dismissed, when someone is acquitted, if the case is never filed for a variety of reasons, we have to help put people on a path to just bettering their lives, to give them opportunity. And that really is what government is supposed to do. They're supposed to work with community, and they're supposed to help people.
This expo will take place on Saturday, February 22nd. Later on today, Travis County commissioners could vote on a program to help people get legal representation.
County commissioners will hear the proposed changes to the Counsel at First Appearance program when they hold their weekly meeting later today. Now, we spoke with Travis County Judge Andy Brown. He says what's being voted on today will be whether to add a second shift to the program. He says the first shift starts on February 1st, but that would only cover half the day. If county commissioners approve this second one, that means the whole day from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. would be covered. The test runs have been taking place since the fall, and Judge Brown says they're going well.
It's an important right for everybody. You know, if I get arrested or if you get arrested, having a lawyer who is familiar with that process to advise you on what your rights are is critically important in our country.
This process started after the ACLU sued Travis County for failing to provide counsel at first appearance. Judge Brown says that lawsuit is still playing out in federal court, but that a judge has issued a stay as the ACLU and Travis County work on a solution together.
Well, it is time to pay your property taxes here in Texas. Bills are due on Friday. In Travis County, you will likely see an increase from last year. The tax assessor's office says the average bill for homesteads in Travis County will increase 11% from 2023. Last year, we talked to the outgoing Travis County tax assessor collector about those changes and why your bills may be going up.
Last year, because of the what the legislature did in increasing the homestead exemption, most residential bills actually went down. This year, with the propositions that were on the ballot that passed, the county had a proposition and the school district did, that will increase taxes some. And then, of course, the entities have to address community services.
You can see more about what those community services are online at KXAN.com.
Tax season has officially begun, and many of you may be getting your W-2s now. Republican members of Congress are warning, though, that you could pay more in taxes this time next year. Here's why. Congress passed tax cuts in 2017. Those cuts expire at the end of this year. President Trump pledged to make them permanent, but Republicans say those tax cuts grew the economy. However, the Congressional Budget Office says extending the tax cuts would add more than $3 trillion to the national debt over the next decade. Democrats are accusing Republicans of ignoring the middle class.
So they can provide a massive tax cut to the very rich.
To give tax breaks for the wealthiest Americans.
President Trump says he will likely need the votes from Democrats to extend those 2017 tax cuts.
President Trump just got a boost for his economic plans. Last night, the Senate approved his choice for Treasury Secretary. Scott Bessent is a former hedge fund executive and top donor to Trump's campaign. 16 Democrats joined all of the Republicans in voting for the nomination.
Happening today on Capitol Hill, senators will take a final confirmation vote for Sean Duffy to become the next transportation secretary. There are also hearings happening later this week for Tulsi Gabbard to be director of national intelligence, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to lead health and human services, and Kash Patel to become director of the FBI.
First warning weather.
Let's take a live look now from our Covington Cellars camera out in High Texas. I believe that is rain on our camera out there that we're seeing.
Certainly want to grab an umbrella, maybe a rain jacket, or at some point today if you're heading out for lunch this afternoon. Let's check in, though, with meteorologist Freddie Vela. And Freddie, looks like a bit of a celebration behind you is happening.
It really is. You know, tomorrow, a big day. Not only do we have the Lunar New Year, but we also have the Chinese New Year. As we look at the Chinese New Year, it's the year of the snake, 2025. Next year, the year of the horse. The following year, the year of the goat, and the monkey is soon after. So what can we expect for tomorrow? Well, overall, the chance of rain, and that's going to continue. Not only now with what Avery was mentioning, where we see a little bit of drizzle and light showers that have been moving through, but that'll continue overnight into tomorrow. 61 by 11 a.m. with the chance of rain. We spin this around, and we look at the rest of the day itself. By 5 p.m., 67, and then the chance of thunderstorms starts to pick up as we get into the 7 p.m. hour. So out of our Covington Cellars camera in High Texas, this is the image we're seeing, some of that drizzle coming through. There's a couple of cameras that have had this, but this is the clearest, well, quote unquote clearest version that we can actually see of the drizzle as it comes in. Temperatures right now, 50 degrees in Austin and San Marcos, 47 in Fredericksburg, 50 in Georgetown, 52 as you reach out towards Bastrop. Your severe risk for Thursday, you'll notice that we're still within that marginal category, and a little bit of slight category picks up, but that's farther out towards Houston. We shouldn't see as much of severity as Houston and out towards the eastern portion. You get out towards Louisiana, that's where we move into that slight category. As far as flood threat, that looks like it only encompasses one county, and that's way farther out towards the northeast. So keep that in mind as we get from Wednesday into Thursday. And even though we still have the chance of the possibility of some severe weather, I'll show you where, what time that should all start, and what to expect. That's all coming up in your first warning weather.
Thanks so much, Freddie. This week, Austin City Council could make helping the homeless community one of its top funding priorities. At its first meeting of the year on Thursday, members are expected to vote on a resolution to direct the city to explore new and lasting funding sources to replace some expiring federal funds. That includes dollars from the American Rescue Plan Act. They would also vote on investing significant funding into emergency shelters, permanent supportive housing, and rapid rehousing, plus expand prevention and diversion programs. This vote comes after volunteers spent this past weekend taking part in the Ending Community Homelessness, or ECHO, point-in-time count. It's the federally required count of the number of unhoused people in Austin and Travis County. The count also helps local policymakers decide where to put funding and resources. Here on KXAN Midday, just yesterday, we talked to the Mayor Pro Tem, Vanessa Fuentes, about this topic.
One of the top issues that I hear from our community is what are we doing to address homelessness? I'm really proud that one of the first items that we'll take up on Thursday at our first council meeting is prioritizing investments in homelessness. And that includes having additional funding for shelter, for housing, and prevention. A robust response is needed for us to address the crisis that we see in our city.
In November, ECHO told Austin leaders it could cost roughly $350 million over the next 10 years. That would build out shelter beds and more permanent housing units the city needs. Thursday's resolution asks the city manager to bring back an update to the Public Health Committee by March. In that update, the city would be asked to identify some one-time funding needs as opposed to ongoing expenses.
Cap Metro is upgrading the way that you pay for your fare, in part by adding tap-to-pay technology. The Transit Authority will launch the new payment system on March 1st, so keep that in mind. Riders will need to download the UMO app to pay for their fares, as well as the Transit app to help coordinate their trips and track bus arrivals. Our digital reporter, Kelsey Thompson, includes the other changes coming to Cap Metro in the near future. If you check out this story on KXAN.com. Federal prosecutors dropped charges against a Dallas surgeon accused of leaking data on underage patients seeking gender transition care. Dr. Ethan Heim provided the records to a conservative activist who then published the material in a 2023 article, though the records were later removed from that article. Heim never denied leaking the records, but did argue that he did not break the law because he did not release identifiable patient information. Federal prosecutors did not specify why those charges were now dropped.
A live look now from our KXAN weather cam showing that fog hanging around. I know a few of our cameras in parts of Central Texas are even showing some drizzle. It's a day to grab a little rain jacket if you're heading out the door, and maybe a day to stay inside with some tea if you can. Have a cozy day at home. That's my dream. I'll see you later, T. All right, we have some news for you. Experts expect this year to be another big year for cruise lines.
AAA is projecting that 19 million Americans are expected to go on a cruise in 2025, making this the third year in a row of U.S. cruise passenger volume. Cruise lines are not the only ones seeing a record number of passengers on board, though. The port of Galveston is also seeing a boost. It's the fourth most popular port in North America and the 8th busiest in the entire world. Travel experts are forecasting Galveston to see more than 400 sailings and almost 1.8 million passengers just this year. Now, last year, it saw a total of 3.4 million passengers and had 380 sailings.
If you are one of the 19 million getting ready to board a cruise, AAA has these tips to ensure you have a safe journey. They urge you to book earlier in the year. That way you can actually grab the best deals. Those normally start in January and go until March.
You should also arrive the day before if you're traveling to your port city, and download your cruise line's app so that you can review your itinerary and be aware of any changes made before you get onto the ship and board.
Yeah, you don't want that thing to leave without you.
Wait for me, yeah.
You ever been on one?
It's been a long time.
Me
I think
too,
about
yeah.
2 decades ago, yeah, at this point.
I have, and I was so seasick. I don't know if I will be one of those 19 million this year.
I just remember for weeks, you could still, when you got into the bed, you could feel the waves in your body, that movement. Yeah,
Rock-a-bye,
it felt strange
baby.
in that circumstance. Yeah, but
You been on one?
interesting.
I have actually never been on a cruise. No, never.
You owe it to yourself.
I do.
Maybe 2025 is the year.
I think the closest I got was getting on a boat. I'm gonna, drop a little here. Getting on a boat in the Arctic Circle to go up and see whales.
What?
Well, yeah, you can't top that.
That's
And that's the closest I've ever been to, or the longest I've ever been on a boat. That's essentially what I was trying to get at. I've never been on a boat longer than that, and that was about 3 hours. And before that, it was like maybe 20 minutes.
That's so cool, though.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Oh my God, you owe a trip out to Lake Travis in the summertime, friend. We'll rent a boat. We'll get you out there.
Yeah. All right, that sounds fun. That
Maybe
sounds,
a different
somebody
vibe
named
than the
Spencer
Arctic
has a
Circle.
One I will remember. Let's go to take a look at satellite and radar at this time. Of course, we will see plenty of cloud coverage. No matter where you're at, a little bit of drizzle, a little bit of light showers, as you can tell, towards LaGrange and DeBryan, Rockdale, so many more. We're able to see just these little spots of isolated showers, a little bit of drizzle here and there. I zoom out a bit more, or excuse me, let me take a look at current temperatures. 48 degrees in Fredericksburg, 51 in Mason, 50 degrees in Burnet, 50 degrees in Georgetown, 51 in Bastrop, and 50 degrees in San Marcos. For the rest of the day today, temperatures should remain within the mid-50s, 57 by 4 p.m., with that 30% chance of maybe seeing an isolated shower or two. And that's pretty much all you're going to see. It's not until we get to tonight that we expect to see the chance of rain picking up. 11:30 to 12 o'clock, that's where some more lighter to moderate showers start to move through. And then Wednesday, very scattered, and then really ramps up as we get into the overnight hours. But after midnight, we could see some strong thunderstorms moving in. Could they be severe? Well, the possibility is there, but the model's pulling back just a tad. But as you can tell, thunderstorms nonetheless that are expected to continue not only through Wednesday, starting off at around midnight, but all the way through Thursday. This model saying by about 11 a.m. we could still see some of them by 4 p.m. We're looking at sunnier skies farther out towards the hill country. Temperatures tonight, 54 degrees. We take a look at your European model. That one continuing to show rain chances through the Thursday morning, 10:30. There's that possibility of some severe weather. That finally pushes through. And by the time we get to Friday, we're looking at nothing but clear skies out there. The amount of rainfall still somewhere between ½ an inch to about 1.5 inches of rain. For a majority of us, the heavier showers expected farther up towards the north, and that's where you'll see more of that 2 to 4 inches overall. So Saturday about 71 degrees as we get out towards Sunday, around 77 degrees. As we look out towards the weekend, temperatures should at least steadily start to increase, even with the chance of rain out there. Remember, this is going to be more towards the evening hours. This is more towards the early morning hours with severe weather possibility in between. As we get out towards Friday, 72 degrees, Saturday 71, Sunday 77, and by Monday 76 with sunny skies. Let's go ahead and take a look at national weather with Rick Siegel.
All right, thank you. It's a very mild and quiet day across the country on this Tuesday. We've got temperatures mostly in the 40s and 50s, except down in Miami, 77 and some 30s from the northern plains back into the Pacific Northwest. So not too terribly cold. Most of the precipitation that we're seeing early this afternoon is in the lower portion of the Michigan area. We've got some snow near Detroit that extends up towards Lansing. A little bit of that snow at Sault Ste. Marie. Not much along the eastern seaboard and the Gulf coastal region. A few showers in northern Louisiana. And there are some scattered areas of rain and snow across parts of the far southwest. As far as travel issues are concerned, we're looking at the potential of some flight delays today. If you got a flight at 3 o'clock in parts of Chicago, well, in Chicago and Detroit, same thing at 6 o'clock with a few more delays in Detroit. And I think that may be due to the snow that's expected there. And then by 9 o'clock, if you've got an early evening flight, again, most of the delays that we will see will extend through the upper Mississippi Valley and into the Great Lakes region.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We want to wrap up our show today talking about something sweet out there. The Girl Scouts have teamed up with the most famous girl in fast food to create a minty cookie and ice cream treat. Check out Wendy's new treat, the Thin Mint Frosty. The new creation is swirled with pieces of Thin Mint's cookie and is finished with a crumbly cookie butter-esque topping. The Thin Mint's Frosty will be available starting February 21st. And that is a commercial, I would imagine, but something to enjoy if you want to get out there. Yesterday, I stopped by a local Walgreens near my house, and then I picked up 3 boxes of cookies from a Girl Scout and her mom out there. So it was really nice to do that. But I picked the wrong one.
Oh, no.
So I thought my husband's favorite was Thin Mint. Turns out it's not. So I was like, oopsie, because I got 2 that were my favorite. Which are the Do-si-dos peanut butter sandwiches. Do-si-dos back from where I grew up, and then the peanut butter and chocolate ones.
Ooh, I like those.
Anything with peanut butter.
Yeah. Okay.
For me, it's the Thin Mints and the peanut butter, not without the chocolate.
Well,
you
may be getting that box of Thin Mints from me. Then.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have 2 in my car that I keep forgetting to bring in. So tomorrow. I'll share tomorrow.
I like the lemon ones. I don't know why.
Oh, those are good too. I mean, you can't go wrong.
I know. I was about to say, I'll take any of them.
All right, let's go take a look at your outdoor forecast real quick. As you can tell, we are expecting for temperatures to move up just a tad, but remember, we could still see some drizzle. 57 degrees is expected by 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. By the way, Avery, what's your favorite? You didn't say it.
Oh, like I said, I don't discriminate. I'm like, if anyone wants to bring me any kind of cookie, I will take it.
Put it on notice
Atta
for
girl.
everybody.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Kristen Curry.
Oh,
Happy birthday,
yes.
Kristen
Happy birthday
Curry.
to our very own Kristen. Amazing. She's wonderful, and we hope she has the best day. So we want to hope you also enjoy your Tuesday. Take care, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Oh, look.